Welcome back to the final game of Play Day 4 here at the NAL OXG against Wildcard. The games so far have been pretty quick, so we'll see whether or not that is the curse or blessing that we're going to have to be dealing with for the rest of today. I'm Ginny, I'm joined with Foxay and Lax. At OXG, Wildcard, both these rosters incredibly hungry for success, and this is their chance to prove themselves once again.
Yeah, I'd like to say it should be a lot closer. It should be maybe the closest game of the day. But so far, we've been wrong about that every time we've said it. And also, the way OXG played yesterday, phenomenal. They looked amazing. Completely revolutionizing team. Wildcard, on the other hand, still having their ups and downs. Feel like, game yesterday against M80 should have been a little bit closer, or should have been theirs. But, they blundered it away. So one team's inconsistency, and the other team is very consistent.
Yeah. OXG, though, they have been doing quite well, and this roster has had its ups and downs, but it feels like they've found their footing.
Yeah, they've definitely found their footing. I mean, in comparison to the start of the stage and to where they are now, their attacks yesterday were extremely well done. I mean, I question a lot of what Forest was bringing to the table here, whether that was on the shield, whether that was the lack of depth, but what we saw yesterday in that matchup against SSG completely made me put my foot in my mouth in terms of what we saw from out of them, and I'm expecting that to be the exact same thing. I can do that, actually. I'm expecting the exact same sort of play that we saw from Border now going into this match versus Wildcard.
Yeah, I mean, OXG in general, they looked so good as well against SSG. I think a 7-2 scoreline was not necessarily something that we have expected at all. But there are also individual players on this roster that have really, really stepped up that we can kind of credit this success to.
Yeah, absolutely. Adam and Gomez, those were the two players that really stepped up their performance yesterday. More so on Gomez's end, but both these two did a very good job at causing chaos in that SSG camp. They were entering essentially what Forest's job has been. They were doing that, doing their due diligence and being able to open up the sites. And one thing I really appreciated that was really stuck out to me in that game, not only just them being able to have that presence on attack, but once it got to that mid to late round, you would immediately see them slow down and find the win rate, find the winning round that was going to be able to set them up. And again, that's something that we haven't seen from Oxygen, where they would get that far ahead, but then they would immediately stumble over themselves. But this time, they're being far more thorough and closing out these rounds.
Yeah, and they're going up against Wildcard. And this roster has actually had the exact same scoreline against SSG, 7-2 as well earlier in the stage.
Yeah, and that game, Wildcard performed exceptionally well. It looked like they had a beat on SSG, but from what we saw yesterday against M80, it looked like Wildcard got a very low number if they picked one out of the deck yesterday against M80, because they looked pretty good starting up. But once things felt awry and went the wrong way, we didn't see any diversity in Wildcard's play. They looked to just play very scared, very slow, and it felt like they were so close to the finish line that they didn't want to mess up. Yeah. So they didn't take any risks, and they played too passive and lost it for themselves.
Yeah, and sometimes also they kind of are their own worst enemy. Like when we saw Kansan in that 2v1 situation a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, Kansan's kind of the standout player for Wildcard, and obviously it's not all on his shoulders, also Spiker's involved, but this round was super embarrassing because they had everything in the cards. We had a man advantage, they had the case planted at a perfect opportune spot, they had Archives control, they had Teller's control. They abandoned both to go play the elevator hall, which if you can't tell, Kino has perfect cover behind a wall and the money bags to be able to avoid any type of push from the players. So they were in a very bad position. So the choice to go there was not something that we would expect Kansan to put himself in, to give up the position into the site. And obviously, again, it's not all on his shoulders, but being the best player for Wildcard in last stage, coming into this stage, he's found a little bit of struggles. And so obviously, yesterday was a decent showing from him, but we need a lot more. We need that consistency. Wildcard needs that spearhead, and so far, nobody's really been showing up. Not Dash and Baby Shark. Bay was one of the players that we highlighted in week 1, and he has been quiet this week. Kansan's always been old reliable, so obviously, if you're Wildcard, him personally, if he's performing well, Wildcard is following in suit.
Yeah, we need the map veto to know where we're going to be heading over to and whether or not there is a little bit of an edge or an advantage that either one of these teams is able to get under their belt. So when it comes to the maps, when it comes to what these teams are comfortable on, Lax, what are we expecting?
Honestly, I could see us being a rematch. I mean, Cafe, we're removing that out the way. I think Wildcard, I think that's a little bit of a misban, in my opinion. I think they are kind of looking too much in what happened last stage. Oxygen does have the overhead on top of these guys, beating them throughout the stage, beating them in playoffs, knocking them out to stop them getting to EWC. But I really think losing out on Cafe here actually is a big blunder for Wildcard, to say the least. Not to say that they wouldn't ban it later on for Oxygen, but
Lair.
we maybe could see a
Lair.
Wow, we're getting rid of Consulate? I was hoping it was going to be a Consulate. Okay, Lair, this is going to be interesting, to say the least. Oxygen, the old roster, I would say, enjoyed it to some level. I wouldn't say Oxygen is by far like the best by any means on this. This is a map that I think maybe is at the lower end of their pool in terms of like finding success on a map. Whereas like I think, again, Consulate, I would have rather seen both these teams end up on Consulate. Wildcard, I'm not too sure what this is going to look like, in my personal opinion. I think Oxygen might have more comfort here, but what that comfort really entails, honestly, I don't really know. I'm really going to have to see how they're adapting to one another in the map to really see who's picking apart and dissecting the site and approaching these defenses at a far better rating on their attacks.
I feel like the one thing that sets both teams apart is the fact that OXG has the momentum on their side, and obviously if they're feeling good and they're shooting good, that's all you really need, because both teams have the shield presence, right? Obviously we got Force, and we have a bunch of players on Wildcard that have been bouncing around that shield besides Baby Shark, from what Spiker said. As for the X factor variable when it comes to Ying or Glaz, both teams have that as well. So the only really deciding factor is that OXG has amazing entries currently, minus the shield, whereas Wildcard right now has been struggling on that entry.
So then when it comes to predictions in regards to how we're expecting this to go, OXG is looking to be maybe a little bit more in a favorable position here, considering this map veto and just how they've been performing.
Oh,
Well, that was before I knew the map.
you went Wildcard?
You want to swap it?
Yeah, honestly, I might swap it. It's hard because, again, they're starting on attack, and that's where they really excelled yesterday in yesterday's match versus SSG. It's just a matter, are they going to replicate that same sort of success? Is, Force not going to be on that shield? Because that was also something that really stood out, is Force basically saying that we don't need the shield, which they did find success off that if Gomez and Adam are going to be the one to open up a site. But that does then lead me to question, is Lair so condensed? Not to say that Border isn't by any means, but I think Lair just as a whole is still a very unfigured out map yet, and for a team like Oxygen, the reps that they do have it on, I'm gonna give it to Oxygen. I'm just gonna see what happens here. It really comes off to the attacks.
Yeah, in my opinion, I don't think it's going to come down to anybody but Gomez, in my opinion, because Adam is always reliable when it comes to that entry, but Gomez is someone that we saw explosively do well yesterday, and I would love to see him just sit right in that position, be that good secondary entry, and continue to find success.
Well, hopefully we are in for a treat, or a final game of today with OXG against Wildcard, heading on to Lair with our caster, Extroika and Lynx.
Thank you very much, Ginny. And where we began today, Ollie, I think we began today on Lair. I think so, right? Yeah, we did, because Shopify standby. We end today on Lair, though I have to think we are both a little bit more excited for this one and a little bit more eager to see if it ends up being a close game.
Absolutely. Oxygen and Wildcard, always a good matchup. I always feel like they're two teams that are going to be vying for a similar spot in the leaderboard when the stage starts to wrap up. So you could often look at this and call it a 6-point fixture. Over the head-to-head of the history of these two teams, Oxygen has definitely had the upper hand, with Wildcard only being good for one win versus this team inside of the NAL and regular stage play. That isn't accounting for international events or SI qualifiers or things of that nature. Just looking at what goes on inside of the stage. Something else that's a bit of a fun fact for this fixture is I can't actually find record of Wildcard playing Lair in an official. So this is going to be new ground and new territory for them here tonight.
And if it ends up being bad, you could say that they have ended up being trapped inside of OXG's Lair.
Or did OXG lure them into this map?
That's not even really a slant rhyme. It's got one letter in common. Okay, two letters in common.
Listen, it didn't work, okay? Sometimes you shoot and you miss.
Listen, you miss 100% of the shots you don't take, and let me tell you, I miss a lot.
5 seconds remaining.
First sight, basement, not R6 here. Often requires a lot of legwork for the attack to get control of the building. One, because, well, they have to move through a lot of it to get vertical control. But also just because it requires a lot of effort. Especially when you look at what Wildcard are bringing. Castle barricades, mirror windows, electro claws. You've got some barbed wire and a BP. And the Yokais. You honestly just spend 30 seconds of siege rattling off all the utility you have to think about in a given game. It kind of makes your head spin sometimes when you actually consider that this game we love, how much it makes us keep track of. Why don't you make it easier on us, Siege? Let's cut all utility in half.
I enjoy it, though. It tickles my brain.
No, it does tickle my brain, too.
There's a lot to focus on, and I don't know, it makes me kind of happy.
It's always like...
Something that I'm sort of tunnel vision focusing on at the moment is the Tachanka ban. Like, we're finally there.
Oh, true.
Tachanka's actually getting banned.
Okay, well, we saw it a couple times last stage. Do you remember when there was a Tachanka ban and I started ranting about the NGR being his most played op? He wasn't even in the game. You were like, wait for it? And there it is, once I realized. Poor Boogie Drone.
Didn't last long, did it?
No, I didn't. Got a little bit of the floor open. Kanzan kind of was like very equitable with it. Get a little bit open, then destroy the rest. First kill for Forest. Taking on Baby Shark, coming off a 7-3 victory against SSG, by the way. Really strong showing on border yesterday. Not so much from Forest, but 7-5. It was a whole team performance, though Gomez, as the desk highlighted, definitely stepping out front and center. The player that obviously new on OXG, but very journeyman player inside of North America, but we've always kind of been waiting to see really step up. He's had like some bits and pieces, but never consistent. And if Gomez can start popping off, OXG could look real scary and look even more improved than they've been. Ooh, Dash trying to get aggressive, battering Yaga's shield consistently. But all it does, puts Gomez on the floor, get him back up. It's a 5v3. Make that a 4v3. As Grixer hits a nice flick, puts Kanzan low. While there's still utility on the board, it's Oxygen with the lead.
Nice little Dokkaebi hack there as well. It's going to let them know that there is, in fact, Yokais, if they were wondering, although Kanzan has been in a gunfight, so you'd like to think that they know that. The more important thing is they know where they are now. Floor still getting ripped open with only 25 seconds left to go. Despite the man count advantage for OXG, they are going to have to collapse, and they're going to have to do it together in this final 20 to make something happen.
Can't always go wrong, but Forrest doing quite well for himself so far. Not on for an ace as Spiker takes him down. Huge retake of the excuse me, that's just OXG. It's a huge retake on the bottom floor as Bay nails Yaga to a post. We're still miles away from getting this diffuser down. And oh no! Spiker just finds protection at the last second. A nail biter to start, but one that Wildcard just barely slip over the line.
I don't know what it is tonight with attacking teams and just losing all momentum and will to win in the final few seconds. OXG had done a load of difficult legwork there, and I just don't think they leveraged the utility that they had to bring that round to a satisfying conclusion for themselves. Wildcard shouldn't be allowed to win in that sort of a not only man count situation, but time situation as well. OXG need to be really punishing that. And I just feel like they let Wildcard get off super lightly there. Wildcard's positions, they were known. OXG, they had the vert, they had control. I was really anticipating that to just naturally end in a plank going down, post plan, advantage for OXG, and they're able to clean up a couple of kills. Really not the case. Wildcard fighting right down to the bitter end. Great way to start things off tonight here on Lair. We can now move over onto that ever so popular top floor for this map. You can see there are a lot of different ways that teams like to go about trying to sort of mount an attack. And I'll be honest, Lynx, have we seen a successful attack of this top floor here tonight? I'm not sure if we have. We didn't really get too many reps in on the SR game. I guess one of their attacks will have been successful on this top floor, I imagine. But
I was about to say, I'm pretty sure they did. I'm pretty sure it was.
Yeah, it doesn't like stick out in memory as like that was a great round of Siege. Hopefully Oxygen can show us one.
It was remember it was the last round of the game. It was the one where they dumped all the utility top floor and perfectly in concert with it. Canadian went in on the bottom and Planet. It's one where like Rexon was holding it all down from like the single door. It was the last round of the game. Which makes sense why I might forgot because it was literally the last round of the game.
No, I remember it now. Are OXG going to be able to operate with that level of finesse? You've got some nice Denari trips kicking around.
I like that finesse.
That looks like it's going to be a bit of an awkward one to deal with. I'm not sure if the nade gets that. I wonder if it goes like all the way over the top of Rocket or not. Oh no, it's not that extravagant. It was very easily dealt with a nade. That's a shame.
Wasn't that complicated at all. Nice little cross by Adam there. I was kind of using the slipstream of the ROU projector to sprint up top Rocket. Dash makes it easy for him. Always a tricky position to play. Oh my god. They're giving out of these 1v1s, but thankfully he's so focused on the utility. Bay just literally just wide swings. Dry peeks that angle. It takes down Adam. Good trade. Y'all got a little delayed, but not off the mark. It's not as, I suppose, cathartic a release as we saw when Shopify just immediately pushed in through all that utility, but it is progressive control this top floor being established with an advantage at that. We had 4, now we have 2. And obviously 1 down below playing the vert. But do OXG have a way into sight? 1 toxic canister, make that 0, and yeah, that's the spark that they need. Kansan going down 2 is icing on the cake. Baby Shark should get the C4. Yeah, he will, but that's unfortunately, in the 1v4, that's the best you got out of that utility. Now you have to march upstairs with 2 Deathmark trackers to figure out your position. Not even enough time to get to top Rocket to summit this hill. They've got direct intel on Baby Shark. They've got the diffuser down. OXG fight back quite well in the second round of regulation. And will tie things up very early, unless they keep quick picking like this and Baby Shark decides to hit us with some style points.
Stranger things would have happened, but they are not going to happen here today. I think that Grixer wearing that hat is maybe a stranger thing.
He wore it
OXG going
last
for
time.
the... Yeah, but, well, they're not... Sometimes they all do it, don't they?
Well, it kind of depends, right? It just depends on like how much Control Forest is exercising over the roster on a given day.
Maybe it's some sort of like fine or some sort of bet.
What bet would be involved?
I don't know, like... I bet that you don't get a kill this round. Doesn't get a kill, has to wear the hat.
Is it really that much of a punishment to wear the hat?
I don't know. I don't know what Grix's feelings are on it. He looked fairly happy.
Well, Grixer like Grixer's worn the hat even going back to like Sonics and Shopify, I think.
Listen, if he wants to wear the hat, I'm all for it.
Are you not down with these deep cut bits of North America lore?
I can't say that I am, to be honest.
I'm
not clued up on what players wear on Playday.
Or in SSG's case, what they don't wear on Playday.
Well, yeah, I was going to say, like, I'm sure that we're going to be, I don't know, is treated the right word to that at some point during the stage?
Depends your persuasion.
Yeah.
Depends if you like dudes being guys. Depends if you think dudes rock.
Ooh, look at Baby Shark.
Probably the most
right position.
The most Oryx we've seen in a day of Rainbow Six in a long time today. Between this and the Cruelty game.
Is this the 3rd time?
I think it's the 3rd time. I actually think it's exactly the 3rd time.
It's 3 times too many.
Oh, Spiker. That's unlucky timing. Adam just
I mean,
walking in.
Is it unlucky timing or like... I mean, if I'm dying there, I'm screaming, why is he there? And there's somebody already in top floor.
Well,
like, there's no control here for Wildcard.
For Spiker. I will say, it's also, by the way, just to point this out, because it's kind of been a recurring talking point over the night. This is a Bunk's defense, correct? Or is this 2nd floor?
It's
no,
yeah,
it is Bunks.
No.
Yeah, it is.
It is Bunks.
Sorry, my brain short-circuited for a second. Normally we see a really, really strong hold at the top floor. We do not have that from Wildcard. How often have we talked about that as the standard? And all the... Sure, Spiker died in kind of a silly quick way, but that's all the defender presence that's really up there. Wildcard instead trying to hold the staircases and New Bridge. But the actual site we see teams fight tooth and nail for was taken by Oxygen within the first minute because it was barely even held. What is that guy doing?
That's maybe one of the reasons why you don't try and hold it like that with a shield. Because that can happen.
What was Bay doing? What was that?
I mean, they were seriously lost in the sauce. Wildcard eventually, they're going to get a kill back onto Gomez. But this has been a very strange round because typically you expect that vert control comes with getting the plant down, but OXG are struggling to open a breach right now. So regardless of the control they've got upstairs, it doesn't really mean too much. Eventually, this breach will open, but it will be fairly scuffed given that there was a mirror window placed on it. So it's a crouch through. Not ideal, but still definitely workable. Now you start to look and think, okay, they've got the breach open, they've got a bit of vert pressure. Now they've got to try and deal with these players in the site, and Dash
tough.
is just going to give himself up. Oh, just plant the diffuser and get the round over at this point.
Yeah, I mean, to be fair, I think he was getting pressured by Adam up top, so unfortunately, just I think a good pinch from OXG. Yaga just pops up, takes down Kansan. Yeah, this is a 2-0. This is a 2-0 in a row, not 2-0 in the score, obviously. Nice little pre-fire. We'll give that one for Baby Shark. That at least makes it a 2-2, not negative anymore. That's why you pick the Rima dash. Look at that cross, straight across the vert. Solus, get out of here. Don't need it. 2 in a row for OXG. Getting already a strong start on their attacking side.
Yeah, sometimes you just don't need to reinvent the wheel. And I think that's one of those occasions. It's a nice try. And, you know, maybe sometimes it works, but there's definitely a reason why defending teams put a lot of focus, energy, attention, whatever it is you want to call it, into the top floor. Because if you don't, something like that's going to happen. It's an impossible site to retake. If you lose that top floor, and you can't very well defend that site from being inside of the site when that breach gets opened. It's a requirement to hold the top floor, and I mean, that just wasn't it. Bit of a shame, but you know, I'll never shout down someone for trying something new, but I just hope that we don't see it again. Because in that iteration, it didn't really work very well.
Well, it's also trying something new against an opponent that you very likely could be competing against by the end of the stage for the 5 and 6 spot. If last stage is anything to go off of, because it was kind of, I want to say it was, what, M80, Wildcard, and OXG fighting for kind of the bottom 2 spots, or the bottom 3 spots, I guess, technically. I can really check this right now. I don't know why I need to equivocate like that. Yeah, it was Wildcard, OXG, M80 in the bottom 3. Obviously, you know, Wildcard more so tangling with C9, but if this ends up being a bit more competitive a stage, you know, if we see Envy end up kind of mounting a more convincing effort or C9 bouncing back, Wildcard was in direct competition with OXG as the only 2 people in playoffs with a losing record. So this is a game that, even if head-to-head isn't necessarily the first tiebreaker, it could be very important.
I'd still classify it as a 6-point game. Just because of where these 2 teams are more than likely going to end up come the end of the stage. And yeah, is it the time to be trying a brand new map that we've not seen you play before and try kind of weird strats on it?
Whoa. 3 rounds. 3 rounds in, Ollie.
Oh, no, like, no, there's no beef yet. I'm just saying that last round, let's nip that in the bud.
We're just on beef watch.
But that's fine. It's still in the freezer. It's not even thawed yet.
No. Ooh,
I'm sure
again.
I've ever seen a boogie drone used to open up that particular angle.
But also, again, no vert hold on a first floor defense. I get, you know, it's a different first floor. Oh no, basement defense. Excuse me. I'm really bad with the outlines right now. I think I do need to get glasses. Depth perception all messed up. I will say though, I am kind of curious how this clear is going to go because we don't really see OXG with a lot of great tools for making space or causing chaos. I mean, you could have Gomez slip in. Obviously, Adam will give an extra angle on the vert, but he used 2 boogie drones attacking the roam with 1 minute 20 seconds left.
I mean, it deters the roam, I guess, but oh, that was nearly a really nice lineup. Brixer, he might get greedy for this. He's got loads of targets in his sights, but eventually it's going to be Dash to take him down. A little precautionary shotgun pump as well. When it rains, it pours. Only Yoga able to gain anything out of that first and only exchange out of this whole round. He's going to have to get an ace if he wants to keep his team in it. I mean, this was a round where OXG, it felt like they were kind of chasing shadows and maybe overcomplicating things a little bit. They were doing a lot of, like, they were throwing a lot of utility down to where these defenders weren't. And then there was a Splinter Cell that was attacking the site, which was way ahead of where it should have been.
It was very, very oddly paced in that it was never really quite clear what OXG's win condition was. I mean, they clearly wanted to go for the roam, but then all of a sudden, Grixer's pushing deep into sight, swinging the door. That obviously loses that fight. We got people losing fights on the roam. I don't know if it was a 3-2-1 that went awry or if it was never really a countdown that even got started in coordination. Tie game again. OXG Wildcard 2 apiece at the moment. Now, as we have tried basement again, I imagine we will maybe like to go back up to our 6 room at this point. Maybe try first floor again. No, it will be going up to our 6 room. Very logical option. This was a bit of an odd one where we saw OXG, I believe, pressuring the op side. Gain a fair bit of control progressively over the course of the round by Rocket. And then just, it was a pretty rapid collapse by Wildcard where then Yaga just sends it in, starts getting control behind the desk. While Baby Shark was down below with a good condition or good contingency, going that C4, denying the plant. OXG were just able to set up very nicely around the site, cast their net, win all their fights, and close out the round afterwards. As we move here, Candela's in 6-12.
Attackers have located a bomb.
2025 Rainbow Six.
Oxygen should have an easier time attacking this time because a lot of the denial has disappeared. The Shank has never been a factor. The Goyo's gone. Like, it should be a lot easier to try and move through, and there's a lot less debate. You've still got a couple of C4s to worry about, but realistically, there's nothing that's going to deny a great deal of area. So gaining space shouldn't be too much of a problem. Forest certainly isn't wasting any time. Already into that sky bridge, and the whole of OSG posturing for this sort of backsided take. Oh, a narrow chance there. Spiker needs to be super cautious. He's the only form of denial that Wildcard have got right now. He can't afford to fall in the first minute.
Very important operator right now. Very important player with that utility. Using these smokes like this feels like a risky allocation like you were talking about. But maybe it'll pay off. Especially as OXG are rotating entirely to a New Bridge side take as opposed to their Operations Rocket take last time. I do like this more conservative position from Spiker. Can fall back behind that reinforcement if he wants to. Great C4 by Dash. Just blows up the gridlock. Adam taken down, and OXG with no good options to try to push forward through this shotgun, dumping utility onto Spiker, so they will push him back. It's a lot better than it was before, but I don't think they have an opportunity to close off this reinforcement. Maybe they do based off time, but no, Yaga sitting beneath it with the shotgun. This rotate will remain open for the rest of the round.
It's going to be a big window into the side right now for OXG, and they're not going to waste too much time capitalizing on it. Selma onto that wall as well to ensure they've got all the angles they need to work with. Gomez knows he's got a player pinched. He's waiting for Grixer to come in through display. Do worry about Yoga below, and there it is. They're the Candelas. That's what you need to burst into sight right now. Off the back of Gomez's gun, is it going to be enough?
It might be. With Bay and Spiker both low, you always hate it when you see a team just try to win this off face checks, but OXG have decent odds to do it. Bay and Spiker just don't have the time, don't have the surplus of HP to react well enough. Force doesn't have the diffuser rotating around to try to provide an additional angle. Unfortunately, it's Gomez who falls. Baby Shark not low HP, but Force not even checking the door. He's so focused on top rocket, he just completely avails himself to the site. Big shot by Grixer. And I'm not going to say that's a throw from OXG, but definitely felt like there was a much better chance, or much better comeback in there than that.
Yeah, I think that OXG should be walking away with that round. Wildcard have done fantastically, by the way. They brought 2 C4s, they got 2 C4 kills. They held on for as long as possible. Spiker playing inside there on the smoke. Brilliant job of pacing out his utility. Even had a Toxic Babe canister for toward the end of the round as well. For me, the question mark is Yoga below. I understand the need for a player to play Vert below, but why have you given that job to the Ying? Like, I know that Ying has a shotgun and I know that it's viable to do, but that Ying Candela would have been so good at bursting in through the site.
It would have been.
And I don't think we ever saw Grixer getting into that display window position either. I think we needed that display window hopping to delete the player that was tucked and further the round a little bit more. Because if you're going to go for that sort of Newbridge style push, you do still need that display window player. It's really crucial. And Ying Candela's it's a brilliant way of trying to make that happen. I think if you switch Grixer and Yoga out in that position, and I mean Yoga can play whatever Grixer can play whatever he wants for that below player. There's got to be a better way of doing it than having your Ying just downstairs, not really impacting the round.
Well, I really think as well, it's actually good that we can like look at this lineup. Like, if you really want to do that same thing, because I like what they were doing with the shotgun specifically, and it's rare that I kind of recommend this just because it's a perfectly fine style play, but it's not my favorite. Bring the Deimos with the shotgun, have the Ying do the same thing.
Yeah.
Because, like, it's not like they were just, like, hunting for vertical angles, right? They were very specifically trying to control that rotate hole. So bring Deimos below with the shotgun, maybe, like, take out the sentry, you know, just have him, well, actually, Grixer probably, I don't know. Grixer doesn't really strike me as somebody who, like, really wants to play shotgun. But, like, put Forrest down there if you want. Put, like, Grixer on the Flores, so that way he can, you know, use the Rotero drones and kind of lurk the rest of the round if he wants to. I don't know. Because I like the vision. I just think maybe there's a bit more of an efficient allocation of resources.
Yeah, that was exactly the word I was going to use. I just don't think that the players were allocated in the best positions, or the operators at least. You can have whoever you want playing wherever you want. I just think you need the better tools for the job in those positions.
See the vision at least.
Yeah. Wildcard are going to take a narrow lead, though. This is going to be their last round of the defense. Maybe, just maybe, they're able to stretch it to a 4-2. But time will tell. Instead, going to be going for the mid floor. But not the bunk site that we are used to. Be slightly different. OXG, I wonder if they're going to go for a similar sort of a vert clear, or if they are just going to go for a much more direct approach, because we didn't really see the direct approach work too well for them. Nice little Dokkaebi call. It's going to call that the path is clear ahead of Gomez walking through. Something that OXG have done quite well tonight is they haven't really wasted too much time getting into the building, and it hasn't really caused them too many problems. It seems very well calculated, these sort of early pushes that they're making.
See knowledge acquired of Kansan's forward position behind that shield. To your same point, nobody just barreling headlong into it, giving it some respect in the early game. A lot of utility being spotted by Grixer, playing the Brava operator he loves, has been playing for a while. Obviously brings that important utility with the clutch drone, but also just allows you to kind of get your impact early, lurk with the para late. I'm not exactly seeing a lot of solutions for OXG at the moment. That's their second and final Dokkaebi call. And they got the initial map control to be sure, but what are they getting off this second one? What more control are they getting? What pressure have they acquired and applied? I don't know if I really see any at the moment.
Sequential breaching activated.
I don't
Forrest's
like...
going to get some Selmas out, but
I
yeah,
don't like how
again,
recklessly he just threw that.
I'm not keen. He doesn't know that Kansan's there.
Well, he knows now. Oh, Grixer just drive by, stabs him in the back. Look at this gap he's found. It's like I'm watching herds at the moment. Transport to the NA has found an opening at site door. They're all just sprinting in front of him. Dash drops down the hatch, and that's the site giving up. He's got the Yokais at least, but they spot the utility quite nicely. Spiker domes Gomez, but a lot more work has to be done than that. 3v2, a lot more workable than the current man count might indicate. There he goes. Adam officially canceled out of this round. But two players from OXG have moved up top. It's only one on the middle. And Dash and Spiker both very low. This is a tough hill to climb for Wildcard. Looks like a tie game is what we'll get at the side swap. nothing really for Spiker to do, and Yaga confirms that with a clean double, 3-3. No one with a lead at the half.
Not much separating these two teams at the moment. OXG coming through there for their final round of the attack. And again, quite a well-calculated play, but if it hadn't been for Grixer just finding a huge gap and 2 kills, I do worry that that round would have just petered out into a bit of a stalemate, because that's kind of where we felt like we were.
Agreed.
Kansan, there was no one that was able to deal with Kansan. The only player was Grixer, and I don't even know where he got the kill from. He just walked in through sight. Shoots 2 people, well, shoots Kansan definitely in the back, shoots the other player unawares and unprepared rotating through the sites, because guess what? That they expect that they're going to be able to do that because they know the positions of their teammates and everything was happening so quickly. I think without that play, it's almost a surefire round for Wildcard. He was literally just able to... He did actually shoot 2 players in the back.
Literally just walk right and shot 2 in the back and then put Dash to 1 HP because Dash was sprinting in front of him.
Being defused by attackers.
No, really well played there from Grixer. Yoga with the cleanup as well. Oxygen 3-3 right now. I guess they've kind of thrown the gauntlet down a little bit there and gone, you know, 3 attacking rounds on Lair. It's not bad pacing. Especially with the way that these bans have happened. Double denial ban, like a Cade and a Bandit. And I understand that that's kind of important, but opening the walls on Lair is pretty much a given.
10 seconds left.
It's not Night Haven, right? It's not like double hard breach ban's so good it's become meta. But I don't know. I don't know if I'd say it's a given.
Defuse a bomb.
I kind of feel like it is.
I think part of the time we often think it's a given is because we see hard breach denial bans, especially Cade.
I'm just looking at the tools that Oxygen have got to play with, and I'm thinking this is a nice lineup.
No, it is a nice lineup. That is the thing. I do see your point there. I mean, like, Tachanka and Smoke for denial, you got a zombie to extend a little bit. Oh, actually, Goyo's for denial, too. And Adam to rotate down for C4. Okay, well, how's Gomez just died?
He ran out?
Dude, he went for the marathon run out.
He took the, I'm Goyo, I can place my utility and die very literally.
Well, that's a classic run out, to be fair, but not working out. Good issue spotting from Wildcard. Just keeping an eye on that. Can turn with the rest of the attack, knowing it's a 5v4. Like you said, Goyo already placed all of his utility, but it would be nice to have a 5v5, especially if things get dicey come the execute. Things can get dicey. We got Deimos and Ying. Deathmark trackers and Candelas can always make things a bit better for the attack, and actually, I don't think really want to fight out of a 4v5 when one of them is marked for death and the other 4 are blind.
Bit of a stall out from Wildcard considering that they've got that man count, but kind of does go to show that it doesn't really matter initially. It's probably more going to be felt later on. Spiker. Trying to get a couple of nice Candelas out there, but Bay is entirely locked out right now and finished off by Yoga. It's the thing with having the Azami available. You've so much flexibility.
Wow.
Forest doubles down. Still equal 3 versus 3 with a minute left to go.
Bit of a gasp for Wildcard as they move in, then immediately get forced out. Dash hops in the window, but not only spotted on the cam, kind of by himself on this side. You can see one player on the roof rotating over. I don't know where Spiker, especially Spiker last time I saw him was on the roof. Okay, catches Yaga off guard, gets hopped through that Kiba. That seemed like incredibly narrow of a jump, but he makes it across. Forrest not really in a position to throw these Shumika canisters. Oh no, that's a big miss. Forrest so far afield, walking up the bathroom hallway, beyond out of position, gets one, but you really would have wished that either that C4, but especially those Shumikas were in the right spot to stave off that plant. Instead, Wildcard get it and their first attack as a result.
I'm very surprised that that plant actually went down. You look at the amount of util that OXG had right there. We saw players dying with C4s in the pockets, Shumika launchers unable to be used. You kind of know where they're going to be coming from, and as soon as that Azami dies, you've just got to flood that area with Shumikas. Not give any opportunity. That was the kill there from Yoga, or the death, should I say, from Yoga. As you mentioned, it was a very narrow angle. I think he probably thought he was pretty safe there. Definitely a bit of a lack of info on the Oxygen side of things. Not entirely sure where those final 3 players were going to emerge from. And I guess they bet that it wasn't going to be the breach. But unfortunately for them, they were wrong. Wildcard did manage to scrape it by. Once the plant was down, it was very clean. The early portion of the round, there was definitely some level of stall out. But they did make good on that opening pick that they were able to get very much for free on Gomez.
Attackers are moving out to locate a bomb.
I mean, speaking of toys and lineups, it was OXG that brought all the fun toys last time, and I think this time it's probably Wildcard. We've got the Rora, we've got the Monty. We don't always get to see too much Rora when attacking this basement, but I mean, when you think about it on the balance of things, there are a heck of a lot of doorways.
You don't think Fenrir and Goyo are fun?
I mean, I think they're quite boring, actually, which is a good thing in some ways. I know boring doesn't sound good, but I would categorize Fenrir as a very boring operator.
I'd agree with that. And I would agree that Wildcard probably bringing more of the fun ops this time. You can see the Monty very likely about to come to blows with the OXG defender, specifically Forrest, at the top of yellow stairs very quickly. Hold off for the moment, but Forrest got to play his cards right here, I was going to say. Maybe start falling back, but you can also see Baby Shark ready for the cutoff. Honestly, that's a win. Even though you don't get the kill, you put the smoke down to 1 HP, you push a little deep later, or an Aaron shot goes wide. Obviously, you'd like it. And you also get a toxic canister out of it. You'd like to get a kill, but that's not bad.
I always think it's a mindset thing as well. When a smoke is low, they definitely use all the canisters because they don't want to die with them. So there's like a tendency to sort of waste them in some ways. Because, like you say, a lick of an explosion and you're out of it. Forrest already expending 1 there immediately to sort of cover his retreat. This mid floor very firmly in the hands of Wildcard, and they've got a good amount of time to try and work with it. They do have the sledge to rip open the floor, which in this day and age isn't the most ideal tool, but fortunately for Kansan, there aren't going to be any C4s that he's got to worry about, so should be allowed to rip that floor open for free. Spiker can now start knocking on the door of the site. The Monty and the Rora both teamed up right now. Spiker does have the kit, but it's those Rora doors that we're really interested in.
I mean, I'm just interested in what they'll do generally, because OXG's idea is very clear. Wait for them to push, then Adam hits that flank at the right time. Right as Wildcard are committing. And that's a big threat with how much lower this time can go. Baby Shark opens up a couple different entrances or exits depending on his decision. Doggy gets the first kill on Dash, and here comes the defuse plant. Spiker able to get it halfway off. Sounds like a smoke went wide, but the Yokai right on its mark. Baby Shark's lurk shut down by Forrest. It is just all collapsing. Adam's flank didn't even have to do anything. He gets the last kill at least. But that attack just falls apart at the seams for Wildcard. They get in the site, and that might have been the biggest mistake they made.
That was a flawless round as well. I've got so many questions. Wildcard just threw caution to the wind and expected it to pay off. They paid no attention to Atom on the flank.
To locate and defuse bombs.
I don't know, just it's been a very strange game. All level again, 4 rounds apiece. I mean, we kind of deserve it after the night that we've had. We've had some very quick games of Siege and some fairly one-sided matchups, to be honest, that have been, I don't want to say difficult to watch, but it's never nice when you just see teams making the same mistake over and over. There's been a little bit less of that in this game because obviously it's been quite back and forth. There's still been some small recurring mistakes, but it's certainly been more competitive than the other games we've seen this evening. But again, some rounds coming out of nowhere that are just a little bit weird, a little bit flat. And the desk made a good point earlier, and I think it kind of translates across more games than we think, is teams overcomplicating things. I think it was Fox talking about DZ and how it feels like they're overcomplicating it because they're just kind of not playing their own brand. There feels like there's sort of smacks of that in this game, of teams just maybe trying to overcomplicate things a little bit too much.
It's possible. Not for OXG, at least on this defense right now, just keeping it about what it was on the previous attempt of R6 room. Though I think maybe some moments in the round where people were getting a little too overzealous with their positioning. Some Shumikas out of place at an important moment or two. We'll see what Wildcard opts to do. It's very operations focused in the early rounds, spotting those Kivas. Baby Shark will get down below with that diffuser. And it seems like a lot of pressure to be placed on ops at the start. Very logically, Yaga's like, I don't want to deal with any of that. I got a bunch of Kibas being generated at the moment. 3, actually, right as we hit a minute 45. I don't need to stay here all that long. So, he falls back. Wildcard fill that space. We're kind of back to the same game. Where do you want to end up? It's looking right now, like, especially with the presence of the Sens, get some ROU projectors on top rocket, inside the site, moving off the back. That's at least what this lineup and these positions are calling to me.
Yeah, I think it's you've got the Monty, so you should be able to facilitate that crossover. Baby Shark's got a lot of work to do here, and if he's given some space, should be able to pull it off. Got a couple of people that he can track as well. Nade can get sent up, hopefully to deal with some utility. Sensor ROU just getting lined up there. Dash is going to come across a couple of obstacles, though. Those goo mines are a nice addition this time from OXG, and there's plenty of fire and brimstone to deal with, thinking about trying to get that plant down. Shumikas are coming out. There's also a Vulcan pack just on the floor, pointed the right direction. Yoga, he will open things up with a kill onto Bay. We do still have Baby Shark below, but maybe the plants are down.
Not just yet. Forced running low on these Shumikas as Gomez also out of toxic canisters. They bank it hit at the exact right second and force Dash off. But only one more volley of these. It'll be close, but Dash can go in with no C4s, no nothing to try to make this work. Baby Shark's control of these swings working quite well, continuing to give information as Forrest creeps up. Love that communication between the Deimos and the players up top, but it's still causing a lot of problems. At the moment, Dash is cold. Dash has no cover. Baby Shark show focused on the death marks. Well, how is he going to figure this one out? They're creeping up from behind. Dash, you still have to plant! I understand you got to cover, but Dash, you still got to try. It is a difficult spot, but OXG winning some incredibly important gunfights. And around that was undecided with just seconds remaining.
I'm really uncertain as to why he didn't just try and stick the plant there. Like, there's literally no downside. If you don't do anything, you lose the round. If you plant and die, you lose the round, but you could also plant and somehow win. Bit of a strange decision there. I think OXG just showed beautifully the power of the Tachanka there in that position. I understand that it wasn't quite enough and that there was a window of opportunity toward the later portion. But the amount of just... the thing for me, one of the really nice angles that a lot of these players that play Tachanka find is it's not only denying the plant spot, but there's also a way that I think they must knock it off the door frame and it goes to the top of Rocket and you've just got fire in front of the door. And how many times do we see people with the diffuser on the wrong side of that fire? Like more really toward the 90 corridor underneath the default. It's so common. And I don't know why it is, but we so often see players that are quite literally just cut off and they can see where they need to be. There's nobody there stopping them, but there is just a raging inferno at their feet. It's one of the nicer angles, and for some reason we see it so often. I'm anticipating that it's intentional because of how frequently we see it.
That's a really good point. I had noticed the same thing banking off the door, but it also just, every player, it seems, always goes right. Always kind of ends up walking into the fire.
Hits
you
it.
see that. Yeah. Everyone hits it, and everyone seems to kind of fall to it. That's such a big play by that Legion right there. Creeping up and taking down Spiker. Pushing very, very deep, I have to say. I just don't know if Spiker had to push that far, I wonder. Either way,
Attackers have located a bomb.
it's a game of small moments like that at this point, and what will definitely be our closest affair of the night. Even if OXG win the next 2 rounds, they'll at least tie the Dark Zero M80 game with a 7-4. But I feel like there's a lot more going on here, especially as we take that tactical timeout. Wildcard look to reassess
5 seconds left.
what they can offer on these attacks. Excuse me. Oh, and oh boy,
Objective is to defuse a
it's
bomb.
Baby Shark on Nook.
Yeah, color me shocked. It is. It's not pretty. It does tend to gravitate toward, but I feel like he's kind of found out at this point. I don't know that it's going to catch OXG off guard. We know that he's a player that does like to walk in.
He's also just spotted there. I don't know if they were looking at it, but
Well,
they
it's
might have just
definitely
seen
active,
the
wasn't
Nook.
it? Yeah, you can see Yoga's flicking the cameras, so... In fact, there's a couple of them flicking the cameras, so yeah, I guess it's to be expected. Obviously, Nook does have the ability to somewhat hide from the cameras, and it isn't going to deter Baby Shark in getting himself in and seeing if he can just find a quick entry. He does have quite a bit of info right here. I don't know if he's going to go for the wall bang through that soft, but could at least lurk around and try and get himself into a good position for later on and cut off anyone that does try to make a little rotate.
Ooh. Creeping forward, still aware of that Valkyrie. Dodging the camera at the moment. But Baby Shark will just hold the cutoff. Grixer 2 also on the middle floor. Obviously this being the site. But it's Gomez that has to worry about that Nook the most at the moment. The rest of the attack around this lurk is moving quite slowly. And perhaps worryingly not focused on that top floor. Not trying to clear it whatsoever. Wildcard in their attack and their defenses. Not paying any mind to the second floor. It bit them on the defense, and will it bite them here? As Kansan pushes in, knows the players to his right, and still loses it? Baby Shark doesn't even trade? We spent 2 minutes on this Valkyrie, and we can't even get a trade?
It's not the finest hour for Wildcard. Especially given that that's 2 players that you would back in a gunfight typically. Doesn't stand them in good stead here for round number 10. Atom,
no.
He's going to add on some pain right now. Yoga eventually falls, but it is likely too little, too late. A double for Atom. A double for Gomez. Can either of them hit that third? Ooh, Dash, you're going to need some bullets. I'm afraid you need to reload. And Forrest with the C4 finisher. Atom, pretty happy about that. Knew that he was in a very winnable position there once he got himself into that little pseudo 1v1 in the larger context of it. He had a lot of his teammates ready to back him up, and a C4 getting sent from Forrest to confirm that kill and to put OXG onto a map point. The timeout, not good for anything here, and Wildcard have slowed to pretty much a dead stop since getting on this attacking side.
Attackers need to locate and defuse bombs.
It's a shame, as it really was turning out to be a bit of a weird game. I think we could both agree, but still one that was quite close, and just a lot more mistakes being made in these past couple rounds, or a lot more, at least small moments, that OXG have really taken advantage of. Especially thinking that Legion working their way up deep on the top floor, finding Spiker, who decided to push deep himself. Then that run, obviously, I mean, just Kansan and Baby Shark kind of out of sync. Gomez able to get
10
both.
seconds left. Insertion.
Ends up being at least the top frag for the moment. Desk really wanted to see a
5 seconds left.
huge standout performance for Gomez, and I don't know if it exactly meets their metric, 9 and 6, or maybe 9 and 5. I can't quite tell, but
Swapping mags.
only 3 kills less than what he had yesterday, so it's at least closely mirroring that meritorious performance on border yesterday. See what they have to offer here. This potential final site will be a basement defense and will, as always, feature a roam with quite a lot of intel.
I think something that stood out from Gomez for me tonight is that he's had multiple occasions where he's picked up not 1 but 2 kills. It's been very quick double kills, whether it's been on the attack or whether he's being pinched on the defense like the previous round. It's not only that he's been winning his gunfights, he's also been sort of fending off multiple opponents at the same time. Wildcard. They can't afford to be making those mistakes again. They are going to get in and start to rip open that mid floor. Dash on the Monty does have the kit. Forest, happy to play a little bit further up and a little bit more aggressively right now. Knows he's got the Toxic Babes to fall back on. Knows there's a chance that he will be able to rotate back. There's going to be a bit of kicking around, though, that he should be cautious of. And, well, Yoga might need to use some of those Kivas to enable both his and Forest's escape, because at the moment they are pretty cut off. That vert continues to be held. They're not really going to be able to move too far.
Be a line in the sand, so to speak. Yoga trying to land a pre-fire after the destruction of that Kiba. Also looking to be a bridge back for that roamer playing aggressively on the staircase. That's Forrest, again, holding that spot. A little bit of a tussle between him and the Monty at the moment, but they're still very easy for him to rotate back. Oh, Bay! Almost losing his life, but Forrest dashes in afterwards. Yaga's got plenty of time to fall back. Gets the reinforcement off, too. Still some time for... Well, still plenty of time, actually, for Wildcard to kind of chill out and examine this 5v4. And also to get the vert down as well, with plenty of utility to spare.
I think that's kind of worth from Forest, honestly. They soaked up quite a good portion of time. Yeah, and it didn't cause any... There's no domino effect, was there? Yoga was able to reinforce the wall. Yeah, they're a man down. Bay's pretty low HP. And from what we've seen, have Wildcard got enough bite to try and get this kit down? It looks like they're going to go for a rotation here with only 25 left.
Yeah. Well, you might be onto something there. Baby Shark CQC making a hole in the wall for Dash, though that rotation is spotted by OXG. While they can't get the kill, they've got that information, and that's at least half the battle. Big trade by OXG. They're still fighting from the deficit, but what can Adam do? 7 seconds left. Got the diffuser, got 1 kill, the one behind him can't land the flick. Bay gets the closer, and we will need all 12 in what is now officially our closest match of the day.
I enjoy the duality between those 2 points of view there. You go to Bay and he's screaming. You go to Kansas, he's got 2 hands on his head and he's just mega chilling. Wildcard. That is the first step in what is going to be a much longer journey here on Lair. That late rotation did pay off. I think they just recognized that they were really going to be banging their head against a brick wall if they tried to make anything happen. Because of the hard breach charges, it was always going to be a hop-in. And a hop-in for a Monty is pretty much a death sentence. So I think the rotation at that point it's kind of mandatory to make anything happen. But you saw how fine the margin was. And Atom's already had a couple of clutches here tonight where he's been playing with low time. So you can't count him entirely out of it. It really did come down to only a couple of seconds. But Wildcard got it done. Can they do it again and take us to an overtime? They're going to be attacking this top floor. It is a site we've seen them struggle with. It's a site we've seen them unable to get the plant down in despite having both the time and the space to do so. The previous attempts at this site falling with a pretty anticlimactic end, if I'm being totally honest. But it is a very different lineup. OXG showing or wanting to show that they're not just a one-trick pony.
Not just the Tachanka Goyo team, or Tachanka team we know them as, at least so far in our 6 room. Still got Yoga on the Azami, and if there's honestly anything you're going to be a one-trick on, I think Azami be a very valid option to select. He'll do his thing where, as we've seen many times at this point, he'll flirt around ops for the first minute, then likely back up once he faces enough pressure. Wildcard are going to take this slow as well. I mean, we got Rotero drones and shock drones. Likely need to see Baby Shark get in position down below to go for that vertical play. So it'll be a while before we see, I think, the full breadth of Wildcard's plan. And even though the operator's different, a lot of the steps we'll see from OXG, oh no, will not be the same. Instead of falling back, Bay decided to get aggressive, and as Yaga sends some parting shots, Bay domes them, and OXG in a 4v5.
That's a really big entry. The entry's been so important in this game so far. It's been converted all but one round, and that was round number 1. It's a big marker as to how this game has gone. Team that gets that advantage in the early portion usually does snowball with it. We'll have to see if Wildcard are able to do that. They're not trying to rush things, though. I think that's kind of wise, given the kit that they've got. They're really sort of pinning a lot of the hopes and dreams on that Candela, but it's not like they've got the Monty to rush in and bully people around this time. They do need to be a little bit more cautious about that. Great C4 from Atom to trade, but it's a late one. Coming in onto Bay. Takes away the ace. I think a lot of the hard breach will have been done by this point. There are still a couple of C4s in the hands of OXG players. There's a bit of info to go off. I won't put it past him getting another.
Oh, Adam with another one. SMG-12 on a dash as Baby Shark tries to push in deep. He misses his fight, and Spiker goes down too. It's all collapsed for Wildcard. OXG will not take us to overtime. They close it out in regulation. Just stringing enough rounds in the back half of their defenses to send Wildcard out.
OXG capping off a very nice week here. A big win yesterday against Space Station 7-3. A little bit more tricky tonight, it's fair to be said, against Wildcard, but they still get the result and they still get it in regulation. That's it from Lynx Night tonight. We're going to throw it one last time over to our wonderful desk.
Oh, hallway dead. Force dead. On the breach. You can't walk in though. Nice. Okay, one's outside the map. Dead. Nice. Oh my god.
Play together, y'all. Play together.
Dead.
Nice! Good shit,
Let's
guys.
go!
Good fucking shit, bro. Good shit, go, man.
Done!
Your hand, bro.
Good composure, guys. Get ready for Lair the next week, Dizzy!
All right, they're fired up and ready. I mean, congrats to them as well. OXG managing to get some more extra points onto their tally, moving up on the standings against none other than Wildcard. This really was the test to see whether or not they have made, the right, I guess, changes in whatever system they had going on. It looks like it is working, but we have Gomez ready himself to kind of give us a little bit of the insider scoop on terms of what's going on over at OXG, because you guys look so good. You're coming in today against Wildcard. We were kind of wondering like 50-50 maybe, but like everything's, clicking.
Look at that beard.
Yeah, thank you, Lex.
That's what you heard. All right. Could you let us know what's going on with OXG? Like, what's the missing puzzle piece that you guys were able to identify to, like, really consistently be showing up the way that you have?
I don't really know, to be honest. They just wanted to play their worst map, so we just took the freebie.
Fair enough. I mean, you guys did take it. That being said, for you, Gomez, individually, because we don't get to talk too often with you specifically, how has your progression from stage 1 to stage 2 as an entry, how has that been? Because you've been playing amazing so far.
I think, I don't know, sometimes I have good stages, but sometimes I have bad stages, but I think this stage I've been doing better, so I'm just here to help my team and do whatever the staff tells me to, so just help my team any way I can.
Yeah, fair enough. And also, we noticed that you guys brought on a new analyst. Would you be able to just kind of break down why the coaching change happened? I know Kizi's the new head coach, correct?
Yeah, Kizi, I think Kizi was always supposed to step up for us. We just wanted his English to get developed a little bit more. And Kapan is really good with the analysis. Like, he's in every single match we play, just straight, like, getting all the info that we need. So it's just perfect for our stuff.
Mm-hmm.
Well, it's good to hear from the end of not only the players performing extremely well, but same with the staff. I kind of want to ask you to further Fox's point, what we saw on Border versus SSG, your guys' attacks. I've said and I've critiqued it that, it lacked depth, where at least on that game specifically versus SSG, you guys looked very thorough, especially you and Adam, to say the least, on those entry points. And more so Forrest kind of taking a step back on, I would say, his shield role, where he can now kind of flex a little bit. Is that kind of the ideology that is now going forward with you guys, where we aren't going to see Forrest as much on the shield and more so you guys taking point and then Forrest being able to kind of be that voice in the back to then set you guys up for those mid to late rounds?
Yeah, I think the one thing we practiced a lot during the off season was that we started realizing that like we were kind of lacking without the shields, and a lot of teams are starting abusing the shield bans against us. So we just started practicing a lot without them, to be honest. And now we can play both play styles. We can play fast, we can play slow, we can play the shields, we can play without. And Foe is just always just calling. Like sometimes he dies, and then it's even better because he just calls everything, tells us to where to go. So it's just perfect.
For sure. Well, I love to see the progress from you guys.
Yeah, it's been very promising, and I'm also really looking forward to see how it develops throughout the stage. Last time you guys had a top 4 finish, so what's the goal this time? You want that #1 slot?
I mean, sure. We don't really care about the NAL standings though. Like, we just want to do good internationally. So.
All right. Well, looking forward to that. First, gotta get to Munich, and then we'll see how that goes. But thank you so much for your time, and once again, congratulations on a very successful week 2 here at the NAL.
Thanks, guys.
Aw.
It's always like, this is totally off topic. This is just related to player-wise. Like Gomez, like when he first came into the scene, looked like a child. Now this guy looks like he's in his mid-30s, full-on beard. Just seeing these players just like grow up, I don't know.
Does it make you feel
I'm
old?
getting yes. That's what I was really getting at. I was like,
well, you are.
Oh, right. Yeah, I am.
I mean, yeah, you are, but...
Well, what's that have to do with growing beards, though? I've never grown
you
like
can't
a full
grow
beard. Yeah, I've never had to.
I mean, that's a bold
It's
statement.
just a genetic thing.
Do I look old?
No.
Okay. Well, you know who looks old? Wildcard, and the way that they played, because they look like they got some joint pains, because they have just been slipping slower and slower. I mean, it was a close game, but it feels like, again, similar story, different day for Wildcard. Obviously, they come out the gate, they do pretty decently well in some of the rounds early game, but obviously they just hemorrhage deaths, and that's the biggest issue, especially their defenses on Lair.
Yeah.
I believe that is one of the more favorable sides, defender-sided Lair, and the fact that they constantly were losing pick after pick to have a 3-3 split is not where you want to end on a defensive-sided map.
I think they try to pull an ace out their sleeve here by even allowing Lair to go through, where, like I said, I would have rather maybe seen a consulate, maybe see, a rematch and where these guys played on a cafe, but they were getting rid of all those maps that they do find comfort in. I thought, again, they were trying to pull something out of this, but to have the performance that they were doing, I would probably say that this was probably the most lackluster I've seen from Wildcard. Yes, they did throw against M80, but I would say that game was a good back and forth, where this one, I felt Oxygen really was in control for the most part. And again, like you were saying on those defenses, not being able to trade with one another, not being in position to be able to trade one another, it leaves me to question that I hope that, this was kind of just a one-off from Wildcard, that this isn't going to then progress into the stage, whereas, on the exact opposite end of stage 1, they were slowly progressing and getting better. I definitely don't want to see them start to go in a completely different feat, because again, their performance yesterday and today, completely different looks from Wildcard.
Wildcard did turn up when they got to the playoffs, so hopefully, if push comes to shove, they can at least make it and showcase it there. OXG's been extremely consistent, right? They've been getting better, and so obviously we want to see that going into week 3. For Wildcard, I feel like it's a common issue. Their map pool is very lackluster. There's like 3 good maps for them, Chalet, Club, and I believe
Consulate for them.
And so I appreciate them trying to grow their map pool, obviously in practice. That's why they must have wanted to let Lair go through, it being one of their worst maps. But at the end of the day, I mean, they need to be able to get those maps on the same par as their solid 3, because those maps are just getting banned time and time again. And it looks like a night and day Wildcard, specifically for players like Bay, players like Baby Shark that are more newer and need time to develop on those maps. They need to be able to put that into high gear and focus on their map specifically.
Yeah, that's something to work on for next week, specifically because this one is done and dusted, and today was the last play day of week number 2. And to refresh your memory in regards to how quickly some of these games, if not all of them, genuinely have gone today, we started things off with a 7-2 from Shopify against Standby LFO. SSG took down NV7-2 as well, a 7-0 for Cruelty. This is like the second time they got 7-0'd. M80, 7-4 for DZ, and then the 7-5 game. I mean, we said this was going to be probably like the closest match one.
Yeah.
And we were right.
Yeah, we were right. I mean, my favorite game of the day was Cloud9 Cruelty, just because Dream got in the interview afterwards and said, "You said us and Cruelty were close." I mean,
Hey, they were both
that's
towards
crazy.
the bottom of the standings, okay? Like,
We weren't entirely wrong with that, but I think
Yeah.
one that really stuck out to me was the Envy versus SSG. I think
Yeah.
that was the first time Envy
Eye-opening.
really did get tested. And like you said, a big eye-opener for them that hopefully going into next week, they do their VOD reviews and they can understand that you need to be able, they need to be able to do their adaptations in those mid to late rounds.
and they hopefully will be able to do just that. Either way, we also have the Blacklight detail of today, and it is going to be going over towards Newers with that game-ending round.
Yeah, I mean, Newers is a player that has just been showing up for SSG since being able to get on the team, and obviously, we said eye-opening. I mean, this was really eye-opening. Round after round, even if Envy had the man advantage, and you could never really count SSG out, but specifically Newers, I mean, just bouncing back and forth, trying to maintain position, trying to get a pick through the floor. Obviously, he needs to find some type of an advantage for his team. He's able to find one on the flank, and he knows immediately where the diffuser has to be able to come from, which is going to be on the other side. And so he gets both picks and plays the time.
What I actually really loved about that round, and X made a point of it as well, is Ashen was causing chaos in the site, not being able to allow them to plant, and also stalling time for Newers to be able to get that clutch, rushing the player outside tellers, delaying that time. Then Newers gets that kill on the flank, pressure taken off of him, and then it forces JJ to try to come in and force a plant down, and then to lose outright, and then Newers just playing it perfectly safe. It almost reminds you of what Jack did previously last age in that exact same position.
Yeah, definitely a good heads-up play from both players, and obviously Newers understand that the flank was coming, and once that's down, he knows that everybody else is in front of him. Well played.
Yeah, and that's the way that SSG was able to close out the round, and with that, they get some points, which is going to be moving them up on the standings, especially considering the fact that Envy has just been handed their first loss. And immediately with that drop down to 4th, M80 is going to be clinging onto that top spot with 11 points, just a 1 point difference between them and SR, and then a 2 point between 3rd and 4th place. It is getting pretty top heavy at this point already, even though we are only into the 2nd week of the play days. And honestly, alarm bells going crazy for the two teams at the bottom. When we're looking at Standby LFO, when we're looking at Cruelty, you guys have already had a chance to play 4 out of the 10 teams that we got going on, and unfortunately, not a single point.
Yeah, like I said, when you're at Standby and Cruelty, it's kind of slim pickings at this point. You are 2 games behind already, and that's to say you even get 3 points from either one of those games to even try to catch up to be in the top 6. So it's looking very dicey right now that going into this next week, they need these points desperately.
Yeah, and the next week, the schedule is ready as well in terms of the games that we're going to be looking at. Cruelty is going to be going up against SSG. It really does not get easier. LFO against Cloud9, DZ, OXG, Envy Wildcard should be a pretty close one as well. And then M80 Shopify. That's what I'm looking forward to because the top slot.
That's the game of the stage for sure. Last stage it was Shopify DZ because they were both undefeated. Now M80 Shopify Rebellion. I think that one's easily going to be the game of the day. That being said, again, Envy fanboy, I'm excited to see if Envy can bounce back from today's loss and learn from it, from the SSG beatdown, to be able to go up against Wildcard.
Even though they didn't have a jersey with your name on it?
It's fine. I've always known JJ was like a lax, a lax, I don't want to say rider, a lax fan.
I always do.
We literally we'd do a desk segment and I'll break down something and then Lax will be like, nah, I think they look bad. And JJ was like, Fox, you were right, but whatever Lax says is better. It's like, all right, but it's okay. It's okay because I feel like Aiden's on my side. So because I picked him in fantasy. So I got Aiden, you got JJ, and hopefully MV gets wildcard. Oh,
all right.
That was good.
That was
clean.
Yeah, not bad. Either way, thank you guys so much for tuning in, and thank you both of you for your great analysis and vibes this week. It's been a pleasure. I'm happy to be back. We're going to be back again next week. Same time, same place. Drop a follow on the channel if you want to stay up to date. But that's it from us this week. We'll see you on the next one. Take care. Bye.